Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
The Rock returned to WWE this past Friday's SmackDown in New Orleans. The final boss officially announced the location of WrestleMania 42 and later had a controversial segment with the undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, which confused fans. Due to his actions, his cousin, Roman Reigns, might have to face the consequences. The final boss appearance forced SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis to make last-minute changes to the show. As per The Rock's orders, Aldis pulled Cody away from the scheduled six-man tag team match. The TKO board member then cut a very controversial promo asking Rhodes to be his champion and give him his soul. This segment received mixed reactions from fans. Many wonder if Cody would turn heel for the first time since his return to the company by accepting The Rock's offer and becoming a corporate champion. Rhodes currently leads the Blue Brand's roster as their undisputed WWE champion, and since Nick Aldis has always protected his top champion, he might be furious after seeing the final boss trying to manipulate the American Nightmare. Nick Aldis has confronted the Bloodline numerous times since becoming the general manager of SmackDown and even sent a clear message to Roman Reigns in the past. Since Aldis can't punish the final boss, he could take action on Reigns and suspend him to get back to the People's Champion and save Rhodes from becoming the Brahma Bull's pawn. While this is all mere speculation for now, we will have to wait and see how Aldis acts to save his top champion on the road to WrestleMania. Could Roman Reigns confront The Rock at Elimination Chamber? The OTC has been absent from WWE since the Royal Rumble. At the Premium Live event in Indianapolis earlier this month, CM Punk simultaneously eliminated him and Seth Rollins from the Men's Rumble match. Reigns was then brutally stomped twice by Seth Rollins. On the following episode of Raw, the company announced that Reigns had been injured and would be out indefinitely. With The Rock set to appear at Elimination Chamber in Toronto to get an answer from Cody, Reigns might also make his return. He might confront the two, which would add to the rivalry these three stars already had around last year's WrestleMania. Rhodes dethroned Roman at last year's Show of Shows, and since reclaiming the Ula Fala earlier this year, the OTC is now after getting his title back from the American Nightmare. However, the former undisputed WWE Universal Champion might even attack Seth Rollins, who's in the Men's Chamber match, to get revenge for the Rumble. The WWE Elimination Chamber Premium Live event is only a few days away, and with the People's Champion's recent appearance, fans' excitement is at an all-time high. They are eager to see what this story leads to, with WrestleMania just around the corner. WWE SmackDown was electric, buzzing with controversy after The Rock's shocking appearance and verbal destruction of Cody Rhodes, setting the internet on fire. However, while fans debated the significance of The Rock's words, SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis found himself in the middle of a major decision, one that could shake the Bloodline to its core. According to backstage sources, WWE officials were not pleased with how things unfolded, particularly with Roman Reigns' involvement in The Rock's segment. Reports suggested that the tribal chief had orchestrated The Rock's verbal attack on Cody, leading to concerns that SmackDown was being hijacked by personal agendas. Aldis, always one to uphold fairness, was faced with an ultimatum from higher-ups: take action against Roman Reigns or risk losing control of SmackDown entirely. The fallout from The Rock segment. As SmackDown opened, Nick Aldis stood in the middle of the ring, microphone in hand, looking visibly frustrated. The crowd anticipated a major announcement, and the tension in the air was palpable. "I love my job as SmackDown general manager, but what I will not tolerate is this show being used for personal vendettas," Aldis stated, his tone firm. "Last week, we all saw The Rock come out here and humiliate Cody Rhodes. I won't get into whether Cody deserved it, but what I will say is that this was not an officially sanctioned segment. This was orchestrated by one man, Roman Reigns." The mention of Roman's name drew a mixture of cheers and boos. Aldis continued, pacing the ring. "Roman Reigns, you have been a dominant force in WWE. You have ruled SmackDown with an iron fist. But you do not run the show." "I do," Aldis declared, staring into the hard camera. "So let me be clear, I've spoken to WWE officials, and after careful review, I have no choice but to suspend you indefinitely." The crowd erupted in shock. A suspension? The idea of SmackDown without Roman Reigns seemed unthinkable. The Bloodline's protest. Within moments, the Bloodline's music hit. Paul Heyman led Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso down the ramp, both looking furious. Heyman, clutching his microphone, wasted no time in responding. "Mr. Aldis, with all due respect, are you out of your mind?" Heyman bellowed. "You cannot suspend the tribal chief. You have no idea what you're doing. Roman Reigns is SmackDown." Aldis didn't back down. "No, Paul, Roman Reigns was SmackDown. But he crossed the line, and now he faces the consequences. He is suspended effective immediately." Heyman's face turned red with rage, but before he could respond, Solo Sikoa took the microphone. The enforcer of the Bloodline rarely spoke, but when he did, it carried weight. "If Roman is gone, SmackDown is dead," Solo warned ominously. Aldis smirked. "Then maybe it's time for SmackDown to live again." Roman Reigns arrives. Just when it seemed like the situation couldn't escalate further, Roman Reigns' music hit. The crowd erupted as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion walked out, his demeanor colder than ever. He took his time, glaring at Aldis before stepping into the ring. Aldis remained firm, standing his ground as Reigns circled him like a predator sizing up his prey. "Let me get this straight," Reigns said, smirking. "You think you have the power to suspend me? You think they have the power to suspend me? I am the power. I run the show, Aldis. You're just a puppet." Aldis didn't flinch. "You don't run anything anymore, Roman. Your suspension is final." Roman chuckled, shaking his head. "You really think WWE is going to let you take me off SmackDown? Do you know how much money I bring in? Do you understand what the Bloodline means to this industry?" Aldis crossed his arms. "Then maybe the Bloodline needs to learn that no one is above the rules. Not even you." Chaos erupts. Without warning, Jimmy Uso lunged at Aldis, attempting to superkick him. But Aldis ducked, and before Jimmy could react, security stormed the ring. A chaotic brawl ensued, with Solo Sikoa taking down multiple security guards while Heyman pleaded for order. Roman remained still, watching the chaos unfold around him. He then locked eyes with Aldis one more time before taking a step forward. The tension was unbearable. But instead of attacking, Roman simply whispered, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." With that, he turned and left the ring, followed by the Bloodline. The message was clear, this was far from over. The aftermath. Backstage, Aldis watched the footage of the segment on a monitor, knowing he had just set something dangerous in motion. WWE officials praised him for taking control of the situation, but he knew that Roman Reigns wouldn't take this lying down. Later in the night, Paul Heyman was seen in deep discussion with Triple H, seemingly negotiating a way to overturn the suspension. Meanwhile, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso launched a brutal backstage attack on security officials, further proving that the Bloodline wasn't going to back down. What's next? With Roman Reigns suspended, the biggest question now was, who would step up in his absence? Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and even a returning Randy Orton all had unfinished business with the Bloodline. But without their leader, could Jimmy and Solo survive the war that was coming? One thing was certain, Nick Aldis had just waged war against the Bloodline, and the repercussions would be felt for weeks to come.